We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast.
All right, here it is, Season 3, Episode 3 of the BCSN Nation podcast, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Let's go Sports Bar.
Gentlemen, we're 2 weeks in. Of course, Brandon Carnes here, Justin Feldkamp, and the not voted for, but somehow elected mayor of Wildwood, Coach Mike Robb. We're 2 weeks into the football season, guys. I want your knee-jerk reaction to what you've seen on the field, a team, a player. Well, Justin, you can go first.
All right, so I'll give you two. I want to see Central Catholic at Detroit Catholic Central.
Yep.
Mike Robb down here already predicting a three-peat right out of the gate prior to week one for the Irish.
Give it to them.
They proved it week one, proved it week two.
Yep.
I said earlier that I wanted to see how they play against a quality in-league opponent. I think we'll get able to digest week 3, and then I can maybe make a prediction. And then lastly, with Ryan Montgomery's injury, the star quarterback with Finley, I think it opens things up within both the NLL Buckeye and NLL Cardinal division, because some of those Cardinal teams cross over
division matchups,
and
right?
play Finley. We'll mention that later on in this podcast with Southview going to Finley later this Friday. So those are my two knee-jerk reactions. Also, totally love the artistic knee graphic there.
This is what they pay me the big bucks
I love
for.
it.
All right, Mike, knee jerk, lay it on me.
Well, you know what? Whitmer versus Clay is going to be a huge football game.
Sure.
That's my reaction.
Something we haven't been able to say in probably a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever said that, but that's what's going to happen this week. And this is a monumental game for Whitmer.
Right. You get
Clay,
back.
They just got to come out here and play football. And Mason Heinzel is special. And the second thing I got to say is the other knee jerk. Central Catholic is going to win the championship.
He's doubled down, don't you worry. I'm doubling down on Maumee. Maumee is fully back. They're 2-0. They're averaging 48 points a game. I called it. The Panthers are here to stay. Also, TC is back. All right, Tyler Grace, 414 yards, 5 touchdowns. Carter Kester, 5 catches, 212, 3 touchdowns against Adrian Lenawee Christian. TC's back, an 8-man ball. And we're back. Breaking down week 2 of all the action we saw, our Family House Player of the Week, and, of course, our Game of the Week preview. Make sure you're here every single Wednesday at 4 p.m. for brand new episodes of the BCSN Nation podcast, or catch us anywhere you get your audio format, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Apple, wherever, Spotify, we're everywhere, or bcsnnation.com/podcast, and follow at BCSN Sports on all of your social media platforms. We're going to keep up with chit-chat and tossing ideas back and forth. We're opening up with something I debuted on Game Day Nation a little while ago. Agree to disagree. I'm going to pitch you guys a topic. If we can come to a happy conclusion, great. We're a loving family. We can go home from this happy and smiling. If not, we'll agree to disagree. All right? First things first, gentlemen can break it down. We are set up for another 3-way tie in the NLL Buckeye. It's going to happen 2 years in a row to debut the NLL. What's your take?
No. I think Whitmer will win. I think that they have the firepower this year. I think they got the offensive and defensive schemes. They have veteran leaders. I think they have some pedigree there. I think they have some been there, done that. I think that Anthony Wayne and Perrysburg are going to put up battles and fights, but I think that Whitmer will get the job done. Whitmer beat Anthony Wayne last year and then split regular season in a postseason game against Perrysburg. So I think these will be tight, but if you're asking me who's going to win it, as of 2 weeks in, I'm going to say Whitmer.
All right, Mike Robb.
Yeah, I go ahead and agree with Justin. You
Okay.
know, I think this is Whitmer's league to win, and if they don't win it, it's going to be a shame. You know,
Right.
honestly, you looking at this team and a roster, how well they competed against Central Catholic. I don't know that another team in this area could put up the battle that Whitmer put up,
Sure.
minus the penalties that Whitmer had, So this Whitmer team is built built to last with their toughness. Their running back room is probably deeper than I even thought, seeing the sophomore running back getting out there and dominating. So this Whitmer team, I think, can run the table, and if they don't, I think it'll be a letdown.
All right, so we're all aboard. The two gentlemen are for the Word Bandwagon. What do A-Dub and Perrysburg have to do for you to say, all right, maybe one of these guys is on that level?
I think that they're going to have to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat prior to and then after Whitmer. But in the matchups against the Panthers, I would say that they're going to have to play mistake-free football. You got to overcome the odds that are against you based on just my guy versus your guy across the line of scrimmage. In many cases, if you just go 11v11, I'd say that Whitmer's going to have an advantage in 7, 8, 9 of those 11 positions stacked up on both sides of the ball. So I think you're going to have to play mistake-free football. You're going to have to hope there's some penalties on Whitmer's side or some turnovers to try to balance the game there. But I still think Whitmer will have a clear advantage in both of those games.
All right, Mike Rupp, we talked about something relatively similar to this off the air last week. Looking at TC, 8-man football, are there teams in the area outside of Toledo Christian who would benefit from making that transition to 8-man ball?
Yeah, absolutely. Any roster that's got under 30 players would probably consider it. You know, at least think about it. Look at your pipeline. Do you have a freshman team? Do you have a JV team? And what does your youth program look like?
Right.
You know, if you're running out with 18 to 25 players on a varsity game, you know, that's actually dangerous for some of the kids to be out there playing in that situation, because some of them are going to have to go the whole entire time. So I think there are some teams that need to consider it. You know, I wouldn't say any names right now, but I would say if your roster is getting below a certain number, you need to start looking at the alarms, but also understanding that it's a great opportunity to play football, and it's a great opportunity to still have some success where the kids may not be in a situation where they're going to get blown out every week, because you just know going into it,
you're just trying to fill horses. Yeah, it's paid out huge dividends for TC as they've had explosive offensive, great defense, obviously winning state title. So huge benefit for them. We'll see if that transitions for some of these teams that are struggling to field, you know, the 40, 50, 60 guys needed for a real full team on the varsity lineup. Yeah,
it's beneficial that the option is there. The Northern 8 Conference has expanded each and every year the last 2 to 3 years. Toledo Christian and Holgate have been the cream of the crop in that conference. They have postseason. They have full schedule regular season. They've incorporated some teams from the Sandusky area, Central Ohio area. They've played some regular season games against Southeast Michigan teams, even Central Michigan teams. So there's that option. And I think what could lead more schools to go that route is the scenarios that you guys brought up, when you have a varsity 11-man team and you're just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose kids. Kids don't like to get killed.
No.
Okay? So if you want to have all the benefits of what team sports can do and what the discipline can be provided through the game of football, and then to play with your classmates and your friends, you know, there's options where if you want to be able to go play 11-man football, if your school doesn't have football at all, you can go elsewhere, i.e. Cardinal Stritch. Some kids have gone to Northwood High School because Cardinal Stritch is not having a varsity team this year.
Sure.
So you got to look at it from a broader perspective. Not every player is going to be a D1 college recruit, but do you want to be able to play football? Do you want to have fun? Do you want to build long-lasting relationships that last well beyond the final whistle, well beyond your senior year in high school? And that can be accomplished through 8-man football. And it can be a lot of fun, a lot of high-scoring opportunities, and it's just an opportunity for you to continue to play football with your friends. So I think we could see more and more go to it. In Michigan, just look at Michigan. Yeah. Michigan has had this for a long time. It's sanctioned, and I think that would be the next step for 8-man football in Ohio, getting sanctioned.
All right, we'll see if some of the teams in the area tend toward that, but first things first. Oh my gosh!
Can I tap in? Yes. Before we went to 8-man, I want to say something about Anthony Wayne's opportunity, because remember we always talk about Anthony Wayne even last year. This is a team you don't count out, right? Okay. Taking a look at their schedule briefly here, they play Bowling Green this week. I would assume that's a dub. Then they got Napoleon at home, Start at home, and then they got Whitmer and Findlay at home. So they go on a 4-game home stretch after this week here.
Huge benefit for them.
And assumingly they're going to go into that Whitmer game undefeated. So that's going to be a different Anthony Wayne team.
We'll have some eyes on that, I think. We'll talk about it plenty that week. Somebody who has all of our eyes on him this previous week is going to be our Family House Player of the Week. Get to the wipe and let's check out who won that award. All right, we're heading to the Hive. Josh Tackett's balled out in the Jackets W over Marysville last week. A 37-0 shutout win. Tackett's 10 of 21, 212, 3 touchdowns. It was balling out. The Tackett's names carries some weights down in Perrysburg, and he is carrying the throne for Perrysburg on the football field.
He's efficient. He takes what the defense gives him. He's a game manager and beyond a game manager. Sometimes being a game manager has a negative connotation, but I would disagree with that. Are you winning? Are you playing quality football? Are you making winning plays? And Josh Tackett's does that year in and year out, week in and week out. Week 1 against St. Francis, when they said, okay, we can run the ball a little bit more against the Knights defense, he ran for 163 yards as their quarterback. So they got Fremont Ross coming up, Southview Clay, Northview Whitmer, Finley, Springfield, and then Anthony Wayne. He's going to have tons more opportunities to be a player of the week type of player for this Perrysburg Yellow Jackets team.
All things to make that three-way tie at the NLL Buckeye come to fruition. We'll see if it actually happens, and we'll also see you right back here after a 30-second spot from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free. Boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash. I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. I want to go back. Go, go, go! Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All right, we're going to get you back into last week for a little bit more talk of that game of the week from last week. Whitmer at Central Catholic, 27-17, the final in favor of the Irish. And it really felt like Whitmer had opportunities. They had chances, and whether it be penalties, turnovers, they shot themselves in the foot at what you alluded to, Mike Rob, last week, might have been their best shot at dethroning Central Catholic that they've had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think with the addition of Coach Pichardo on the offensive side and the influx of players, Davion Sanders from Rogers and Amicus Beach and Nix from Scott, you know, and D'Angelo Haynes from Waite, you know, this team is loaded with players from all around the city where you think that they can get out here and dominate. But the one thing I said that made it difficult for Whitmer is Central Catholic has a football culture. Whitmer has a good football team this year.
Right.
They got to continue to build that culture back up to what it was in the early 2010s when you had the culture where it's not, you know, Whitmer was always reloading. You see the posters and banners all over the city, you know.
Right.
You know, we don't rebuild, we reload, you know. And I feel like that's what Whitmer's got to continue to get back to. For Central Catholic, this machine, you may not know these young guys on the defensive line, but you knew who they were on Friday night when they showed up against, you know, Carter Lowe and company, because it made that offensive line look real pedestrian, in my opinion. And so what I want to see from Whitmer this week and going forward, you know, especially with this type of a rivalry game, is a more locked-in sense of this game and understanding that this is the biggest game on your schedule and you got to win this game. And at the end of the day, this is sports, you know. It's a coaching thing.
I think that Whitmer proved that they deserve to be on the same field, a level playing field with Central Catholic, albeit a Central Catholic team that is kind of learning as they go all season long. Last year, they had so many guys who had played significant time on the field 2 seasons ago. So it was, hey, we are expected to win, and deservedly so. So I think Whitmer, you know, check that box where, hey, we showed that we can play against the 2-time defending state champs, 33-game winning streak, and we lost by 10. Brady Ford goes in, gets hit by Kevin Arnold, and ball gets loose. They turn that turnover into a touchdown, secure the ball, and maybe the next play get in for a touchdown. That might be a little bit, maybe not necessarily a different outcome, but a closer game deeper into the fourth quarter. Yeah. But with the emotions riding high, too many penalties there for Whitmer, and then that key turnover there. But Central Catholic, 2 straight games where they have their top 2 running backs go for a combined 200-plus yards. When you're doing that, I mean, the benefits of running in the game at any level, especially in high school, you keep your defense on the sideline, rested and ready to go. Yep. You are just crushing that defensive front, mauling them in the inferiority of, man, how can we stop these guys? How can we stop these guys?
100%.
Then you're controlling that clock. The benefits pay off. And stuff you do in the first quarter and those types of games pay off in the fourth quarter, and I think that was on display.
Yeah, and that really doubles down the other way for Whitmer's defense, right, where the offense has committed these turnovers. You're back on the field after already getting punched in the face by this Central Catholic running game, where you talked about it. Tyler Morgan, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sylvester had 105 yards and a touchdown of his own. So when you're just getting smacked in the mouth the entire game and then your offense puts you back on the field to have to run it back again, that'll be kind of the thing that I want to see from Whitmer on the defensive side is just shoring up the middle of that. Obviously, you lose, guys that were important to that aspect last year, but who can set up the middle, stop that run, because Anthony Wayne's going to punch the ball down your throat.
You're going to have to.
You just saw Tackett. You just talked about it where he like, all right, we can run the ball. Cool. I'm going to run for 160. So you're going to have to shore that up, especially when the playoffs come around for sure.
I was going to say you got to move guys around too. A lot of times teams on a 2-platoon, Carter Lowe needs to be on that defensive line. No
Told you, you're going to have to try and convince Ryan Day of that, and I'm not envying you to do that.
It doesn't matter. He needs to be playing on that defensive line. The best players play both ways. James Hudson played both ways, didn't he?
Right.
He's playing in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. You can do it. Most high school football players, even when I played back in the day, every top player played on both sides of the ball because you're needed. Napoleon Jemison needs to be on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, as a physical kid that's fast and athletic.
Yeah, they talked about it in the offseason, him playing some tight end and moving around in that role as well.
You got to move guys around. And again, like I said, I'll say it again, Demetrius Beach, get that man some touches.
We'll see how the Panthers adjust to put themselves back in the playoff hunt, which I don't think any of us are worried about. But somebody who is very good at making sure he's where he needs to be on the field, they're going to be represented in our clip of the week, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Wipe it, Cisco. All right, we're heading north of the border. Drew Logston, not named the starting quarterback for Bedford going into week 1, but he came in and ignited the Mules offense. They were down 28-0 at one point. You see the touchdown pass right here to tie the game back up with just under 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. That was him hitting Mr. Spoonmore, Jacob Spoonmore. Mike Robb's very familiar with these two young men. And a huge wheel route, 61 yards, tied the game. And we talked about it yesterday. There's not a lot of times in any level of football where you see a 28-0 comeback and the Mules, they got their kick back, and it'll be interesting to see the quarterback dynamic situation up there if, hey, this guy ignited the offense, is logged in the guy now.
Yeah, it's a varsity sport. So, I mean, this is not patty cake, and everybody gets equal touches, and, if you got to earn it. I tell 12-year-olds on the baseball field,
100%.
You got to earn it. So, you definitely have to earn it in high school varsity football. So, no shade to anybody. We're talking about high school athletes here, but proof positive here. Down 28-0, you lead your team back and to make it 28-28. Breaking down this play a little bit, I mean, this doesn't look at number 2 going.
It doesn't
top
go
of your
perfect.
Screen. The linebacker's there. It's kind of like, where did you go? Like the guy in red.
Loaf?
Yeah, the guy in red and number 2, he's right there. Like, go get him. No one else was near you. But key to Bedford finding the open guy, and then Spoonmore making a great play to get in the end zone.
Dodging some pressure in the backfield, getting away from a guy falling at his feet.
Yeah, Bedford's going to have to get a little bit better up front, on the offensive line. But you do see the nice playmaking right here by Loxton, and it's nice to see a backup quarterback be able to come in a game after halftime and have the poise to not be sulking or upset or mad, to come in and bring his team back. And I guarantee you he's the same type of kid to say, all right, that's cool. Let that kid start again this week, and I'll go back out here and do whatever you need.
Somebody who's going to contribute wherever you're going to put him. Contributed mightily in the 28-point comeback. Bedford falling 31-28 to Canton, but made this thing a game. You want to see more clips just like this? Head of our TikTok at BCSN Sports. Give us a follow, and we're going to head right now to our student section of the week. The belt has been busy. The belt's bouncing around. Student section of the week this week is the Maumee Panthers. We talked about the other Panthers. I'm full hype on the Maumee Panthers. The crowd at the games is full hype on the Maumee Panthers. Get ready this Friday. You take on Bowser. We'll be there with the belt. Whatever your theme is, bring your A game because the belt's going to be there. Make sure you show up and show out. And now we're going to head south down I-75 for another game preview of what's coming up this week. A Buckeye-Cardinal clash. Southview, 2-0, unbeaten. Heading down to Findlay, 0-2, but in competitive games, maybe a little bit less in week 1 after a huge shocker for them. How does Findlay readjust, taking on a third tough opponent in a row and still readjust from post-Ryan Montgomery life?
Yeah, Findlay has a gauntlet right off the get-go. They played Central Catholic. Obviously, we've documented Ryan Montgomery's injury quite a bit, but they're definitely way better than an 0-2 team.
100%.
However, you are what your record says you are. I think Bill Parcells said that.
Mm-hmm.
But they lost last week to Lima Senior. However,
rivalry game.
one, rivalry game. Two, I've talked to multiple coaches now, and Lima Senior is a legit team. Yep. They are the clear-cut favorites within the Toledo City League. So Lima Senior, the defending champs from the City League last year, have gotten better. Yep. Coach Lawrence down there has done a great job in building that program. You talk about building a culture. That is what is being accomplished there. But I think for Southview, a lot of players, yes, they graduated 25 to 30 seniors this past year, but enough players got enough playing time last year for Southview, and they remember getting housed by Ryan Montgomery, 491 yards and 6 touchdowns. They don't want that to happen again.
100%. Obviously,
the quarterback is different, and Riley Corcos has done a solid, admirable job in being thrust into the starting quarterback position as a sophomore. But I think this is a winnable game for both sides. And for Southview going on the road, like I mentioned, kind of a knee-jerk reaction at the top of the podcast, without Ryan Montgomery, it kind of opens things up. And maybe you say, yeah, man, going up against a Georgia commit, that's going to be a tough road win. But maybe not so much now. And then Findlay's going to win some games going forward, and they're a Division I team. So these Cardinal Division teams that are in Division II, maybe some cases Division III, in Napoleon's case Division IV, you take down a Division I team, you're getting tons of points 100%. When it comes to the playoffs. So this is a ripe opportunity for both teams, Cougars and Trojans.
Mike, Rob, your breakdown.
It'll be a lot differently now because as I'm looking here on Twitter, and I was just looking up some stats, and I was wondering, why hadn't I heard Reese Little's name? That's because he's been injured. He's back this week, which will be a huge piece back to this football team for Findlay. And they're going to need him. He's going to be a great injection of life into that offense and defense. Defensively, I'm not sure what's going on down there with Findlay. They're typically a better team on the defensive side of the ball. They've given up a lot of points. So I'm hoping that they get that contained, and that's what their focus has to be. It's not that they can't put up points. We've seen them put up over 50 points in the first 2 weeks. They got to find a way to get some stops.
Yeah, both of these teams, Southview looking to continue proving their mettle. Findlay bouncing back. What you got, Justin?
I got one more note on this. Yeah. So Southview has played 2 teams thus far who are combined 0-4.
Yeah.
Northview and Wade. I believe Northview still has yet to score a single point.
Nope.
And then Wade has struggled out of the gate. So it's a complete opposite situation where, yes, you are 2-0, but you've played not great teams. And then for Findlay, you're 0-2, but you've played really great teams.
Right. Yeah.
So this is kind of an interesting barometer. Like, okay, both of those scenarios.
It's kind of a proving ground for both teams.
Yes, side A and side B, when you go head-to-head, all right, let's see, because if maybe Findlay gets out to an early lead, Southview has only had leads through 8 quarters now. How do they face that adversity and rise to the occasion?
Couldn't have scheduled a more dichotomy type of a game here.
We got both ways. And we're heading now to our Game of the Week preview brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Wipe it. All right, the Game of the Week, Springfield at Start. The first ever game day tailgate appearance for the Start Spartans. Justin and Co will be there before the game to break everything down for you. Springfield 1-1, a 16-8 win over Rogers last week. Start 0-2, but battling in both of those games. Lost 49-25 to Clyde last Friday. How's this thing shake out?
I like this matchup, one, because, as you mentioned, tailgate going to be there for the first time, so a spotlight on some teams that maybe have not had the spotlight shown on them in the past few years. But both of these teams have shown glimpses of greatness or a spectacular great play, but they've also been undisciplined. They also have had drives stall out. And that's why I think it's intriguing, because both teams have done very, very similar things through the first 2 weeks. You mentioned Start 0-2 and Springfield 1-1, but Coach Nate James, in talking with him on Tuesday, he said that we've shown that we can make the special plays, but can we make the more mundane plays? That mundane plays that impact the game in a greater way, as opposed to, a flash in the pan 66-yard run in the second quarter.
For sure.
But then we allow 2 long drives that lead to 2 touchdowns, and then we're losing the game kind of thing. So they need to focus on that element, and it is a young team. In talking about Start, they got to learn how to win, and they scored 5 wins last year. This game was a tight game last year, and I think that it can be a tight game once again. But for Springfield, they are going to be going on the road and talking to Coach LaCharles Smith. Not to toot our own horn a little bit here at the BCSN, but everybody is aware that this is the BCSN game of the week in these two teams and these two programs and these two communities. And Coach Smith admittedly said, hey, coming out of this week, coming off the win against Rogers, we got a little bit of nerves because we know BCSN cameras are going to be there and the tailgate show is going to be there. So they've earned this opportunity, and it's a matter of coaching them up Monday through Thursday and leading into a 7:05 kickoff live on the NL Network. But it's going to be an interesting matchup because I think they are very, very equally level on the playing field.
Mike Robb, your rebuttal.
Well, it's not really a rebuttal here. I think that this is a game that's kind of my type of game. I feel it's going to be a defensive game.
Sure.
I like low scores, but that's all the way up to Springfield's defense. We know Weisinger, he can step up, made some big plays
for them.
Made that
great play, interception last week. Yep.
They need more of that, because this Spartan team, like Justin alluded to, is
there's explosive elements.
And they got some key playmakers out there. And some of these bigger programs has got a little bit more more stability, like Clyde. They can handle that, where you look at where Springfield is still trying to find their groove on offense,
right, and
still trying to find a way to get first downs and touchdowns. They don't have those big explosive plays yet because, they've lost their explosive player in Eli Bill to St. Francis, and you see what he's doing and what he could have done for this team.
I'll counterpoint you with Gabe Gregory's 88-yard touchdown run last week, though.
I'm not saying that that's not explosive. But they haven't had that consistently.
Sure.
Week 1 versus Maumee, where was that at? That's my counter.
The Maumee Panthers. You can't count out the Maumee Panthers, baby.
So what I think, this is going to be a defensive game for Springfield, and this is going to be a proving ground for Start. Start's got to come out here from the jump. They got to be able to get the ball into their playmakers' hands, and they got to score early and often. If Start's going to be that team that we thought that could compete with Lima Senior going down the stretch.
All right, we want to know who you think is going to win. Head over to our Twitter page, vote on our Game of the Week poll. That closes Thursday at noon, so get your vote in before then. Right now, we're going to do what we've done every single week, break down another one of our top 20 male or female athletes of the BCSN era. We're on the female side this week with Grace Van Sluten, unstoppable force on the court in her time here in Northwest Ohio. She's been a journey woman throughout her basketball career. Started at Notre Dame Academy, where she was a 2-time first-team All-State as a junior and a sophomore, second-team All-State as a freshman, finalist for Ms. Basketball in her junior year. Then she headed over to IMG Academy, where she was a 5-star recruit, the number 13 overall recruit in the 2022 class. Went to Oregon, spent time over there, all Pac-12 honorable mention as a freshman, led the Ducks in scoring last year in her sophomore season. Now she's a transfer over to Michigan State, taking on with Robin Freilich, Coach Robin Freilich up there in East Lansing. Great player, top 20 female athlete of the BCSN era, and we'll be right back after 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half-off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
All right, we're hitting you real quick with our games list. Plenty to come on Friday night here on BCSN, the NLL Network, and of course the BCSN Plus app. We talked about the game of the week, Springfield at Start. We got Clay Whitmer. We talked about Southview Finley. We talked about A-Dub heads down to Wood County, taking on Bowling Green. Northview, Napoleon, Brother Rice at St. Francis, opening CHSL play for them. Fremont, Ross, Perrysburg, Gibsonburg, Edison, Huron at Genoa for our Erie side of things. Plenty of action on Friday night. Catch it all on Game Day Nation and Game Day Nation Overtime for all your wrap up for everything going on Friday night. That is everything we got for you, though, here on the BCSN Nation podcast this week. Catch up with us every single week, 4 p.m. on BCSN or anywhere you get your podcasts on the audio side. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I'm running out of breath because we're so many places. Follow at Justin Feldkamp, at Coach_Mike Robb, or myself at Arns Brandon. And make sure you follow at BCSN Sports. I'm trying to duck footballs over here, but we'll be right back next week. We'll see you for a breakdown of what happened during week 3